When it was morning, the religious leaders of all the people and the high priest and scholars all got together and brought Jesus before their high council. They said,
"Are you the Messiah?"
Jesus answered,
If I said yes, you wouldn't believe me. If I ask you what you meant by your question, you wouldn't answer me. So here's what I have to say. From here on, the Son of Man takes his place at God's right hand, the place of power.
So you admit your claim to be the Son of God?
You're the ones who keep saying it.
Why do we need any more evidence? We've all heard him as good as say it himself.
Why didn't Jesus answer them?
well, for one, he's fulfilling a prophecy that the Messiah wouldn't protest his innocence when he was accused. Also, the Pharisees had asked the same question of Jesus for years, and he answered them with miracles and parables, but they refused to listen. He wouldn't answer them again. They all took Jesus to Pilate and began to bring up charges against him. They said,
We found this man undermining our law and order, forbidding taxes to be paid to Caesar, setting himself up as Messiah King.
Pilate asked him,
Is this true? That you're king of the Jews?
Those are your words, not mine.
I find nothing wrong here. He seems harmless enough to me.
Pilate, he's stirring up unrest among the people with his teaching, disturbing the peace everywhere, starting in Galilee and now all through Judea. He's a dangerous man, endangering the peace.
So he's a Galilean?
Pilate then sent him to Herod, the ruler of Galilee. Herod was delighted when Jesus showed up. He had wanted for a very long time to see him. He'd heard so much about him. He'd hoped to see him do something spectacular. He peppered him with questions, but Jesus didn't answer. Not one word. The whole time, the high priest and religious scholars were right there, shouting their accusations. Then Herod and his soldiers began taunting and mocking Jesus. Then they dressed him up in an elaborate king costume and sent him back to Pilate.
You brought this man to me as a disturber of the peace. I examined him in front of all of you and found there's nothing to your charge, and neither did Herod, for he has sent him back here with a clean slate. It's clear that he has done nothing wrong, let alone anything deserving death. I'm going to warn him to watch his step and let him go.
At that, the crowd went wild. They wanted to get rid of Jesus.
Would you rather I release Barabbas from prison?
It was a custom during the Passover to let the crowd choose a prisoner to be released. When Pilate asked this question, the chief priest and the elders persuaded the crowd to ask for Barabbas.
No, give us Barabbas!
Why did they ask for Barabbas? Who's that?
Barabbas had been thrown in prison for starting a riot in the city and for murder. He was definitely guilty, but the religious leaders who wanted to kill an innocent Jesus convinced the mob to set Barabbas free instead. Pilate still wanted to let Jesus go, and so spoke out again.
So what should I do with Jesus?
Crucify! Crucify him!
But for what crime? I found nothing in him deserving death.
Crucify him! Crucify him!
Pilate caved in and gave them what they wanted. He released the man thrown in prison for rioting and murder and gave them Jesus to do with him whatever they wanted.
Thanks for joining us this week. Today's content is pretty heavy, so if you're watching with kids, take time to help them process what they see and hear. In spite of the cruel treatment and false accusations, Jesus chose not to resist. At the end, take a few moments to reflect on the story today and use the guide linked in the notes to go deeper.